Good morning and welcome to Duality. I'm your host, Ash, and this is the 100th episode. So thank you guys for, vibing with me for all this time. And, whether you're new to listening or you've been listening from the beginning or somewhere in between, just thank you. It's been a journey for sure. And in that journey, it's just looked like a lot of different things. And I had a lot of different ways that I wanted to go about, this episode. And I just said like fuck that once again. I was listening to my 50th episode and I feel similar but different to when I made my 50th episode. So I was talking about, I literally labeled my 50th episode expectations because I just had so many expectations of what I wanted it to be. I wanted it to, what I thought it was going to look like, what I thought it was going to feel like, all these different things. I'm going to stitch clips. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And, naturally, the 100th episode, I was feeling the same thing. I'm like, am I going to do a live podcast? Am I going to do this? Am I going to do that? And the truth of the matter is, if it's one thing that I can always do, and for anybody that does listen to the podcast and or knows me in general, because the same person you're meeting here is the same person you'll meet anywhere, I keep it a buck. I keep it a stack. I keep it 100. Like, that's just what I'm always going to do. So I'm like, what better title to this podcast besides just like, keep it a stack, like keep it 100 on the 100th episode, because it's like, what am I going to stress myself out for doing things that I just don't feel like I'm in the space to do? Like, if I want to do a live podcast, why can't I do that on the 156 or the 105? Like, it don't have to be an expectation. I feel like we hit these certain milestone numbers and we feel like it needs to be a certain way. You're 21, you need to get trashed. Like, you're I don't know, another number, you need to do another thing, like you're 30, it needs to be a big grand old like birthday party. Like, these numbers, right? Like, and what we have projected onto these numbers, because these numbers innately just emanate energy, which we can get privy to or have resonance with or against, and they're pretty neutral. So what we kind of project onto it is a little different than the actuality of what they are. Let's put these headphones on. That'll probably be a nice, much better idea. All right, cool. Now I can hear myself. But yeah, like, it's retrograde, yo. I'm not trying to blame retrograde. I really like Mercury, to be honest. Like, I really fuck with Mercury. I really like the energy of that planet. It's all about communication. I love communication. It is also both masculine and feminine. I love both masculine and feminine, all of these different aspects. But simultaneously, if you're familiar with retrograde, then you know. And if you're not, then retrograde is just a time for the re's. It's to readjust, rethink, reevaluate, and in that, it kind of takes up space that you might want to move forward with things, and tells you to kind of sit with things and move into a space that you can shine light on what you actually want to accomplish in it, rather than just kind of moving blindly with things like that. Like, retrogrades don't let you do that. Like, maybe other seasons, especially like Aries seasons, I feel like you could just go in, boom, like it's like, I don't even need to fully know, but I just trust. And that's awesome. Like, I love that season for myself. I love that season for us, like all of us as people. But there's different seasons for a reason, right? And when we do have especially a Mercury retrograde happening at the end of the year, where we're already like starting to recluse, we're starting to reflect, we're starting to, isolate a little bit more than usual, because we have like the cold, like, and we don't want to be out in the cold. Or if you don't have the cold where you're at, like, I don't know what that's like, because I don't have that experience, so I can't speak on it. But, it gets real seasonal depression-y out here, especially in, like, I could only speak for being in New York City, right? And it gets just the whole energy shifts. Like, is it beautiful? Yeah, it's beautiful when it snows to look at it, but it could definitely be inconvenient, especially being in the city. Because it's just like so many reasons. But why are we here? We're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about just being honest, like with where we're at, and like that's what I strive to do. I want to say thank you so much to everybody who made this 100th episode possible. From the people that started this podcast to the people that stayed with this, the people that fell off, to everyone in between, every single person that made it possible. I really appreciate it. Even from the people that motivated certain episodes, whether that came from like a healing aspect or that came from, a rejoicing aspect or, a challenging one, whatever the case may be. I'm just really grateful for everything that's contributed. Shout out to Kenny, for holding down, recording probably still more than 99, maybe like still 100, because we had those little extra episodes that we did, and that just, it means the world to me to like be able to sit and do something consistent. Like, I'm a neurodivergent being. Like, I have a lot of ADHD, and like to commit to things it has been like it's a really difficult task, like literally for my brain to do, nonetheless for what I want to do. And so to have something that's been so consistent in my life, especially for the past, like since 2020, I'd say it's been really consistent. Like, before that, I can't really speak on it as much, but like 2020, ever since I've been here at Hub doing it by myself, like it's been one of the most consistent things in my life. That and the moon meets that I do every single month, and like there's other things, of course, but like these are the bigger things that I do that are like really consistent, and also that I could look back and be like, damn, like I've been doing this for 6 years, or damn, I've been doing this for 4 years. Like I'm gonna be doing this podcast, but this podcast has been getting done for 4 years, and next year will be 5 years in the summer, So yeah, like I feel like I always give everyone else flowers, and I think it's super deserving, for that. And like I feel like something that 2023 showed me was where to place people, in my life when it comes to the good and the not so good, like people that I love, like finding a closer space, a closer nook to me. And the people, and not just the people, more so the people that I'm resonating with, the people that we are fitting into each other's lives in a good way, are getting closer to me. Simultaneously, the people that either we've outgrown one another, and or we're just not resonating in the same space with one another, or even just in life. I'm really grateful that I'm seeing these people out of my like closer orbit, because I forgot where I read it somewhere, or someone said it, like your close people should feel like a warm hug, and just energetically you should feel like a warm hug. So it's like, when you are feeling like you're in opposition, being around, your close people, like it's a good time to reevaluate who you're keeping around you. If you have to constantly question it, like every once in a while, whatever, like you're gonna fight, like you're gonna get into disagreements or whatever the case is, but like to feel like you can bring your shame, to bring your brattiness, to bring your, not to do it all the time, naturally, but like to that you feel safe to do these things, like it's so important. It's just so important to find that and to find tribe in that way. And like, I also want to say shout out to Lori, Lori Love, for like literally not only like tolerating me but loving me, and like being my my emoji or like avatar icon logo stylist, and changing up. We're not gonna have to keep up with the wigs. Don't worry. I'm not even gonna. Oh, there you are. We're not even going to put that kind of expectation. But if you ever look at my my little icon of me when I put the posters up, like it's always that actual, like the accurate hair that I have, whether it's being shown or not. So I want to say thank you for that and for the support. And for Staten Island Arts for like giving my my podcast a grant, for Kim helping me out with the grant. Like, it means the world to like you like I really didn't even plan to have a podcast. This is the point that like
this is the point that really like blows my mind. Like I didn't even set out to have this, but like, God creator really works in such mysterious ways, and like how, they'll put that, they'll align things for you. Like, like the universe, the energy will like align everything for you in a certain way where it's like you didn't even know that's what you wanted or that's what you needed necessarily. But we were talking yesterday. We had the full moon meet. Moons in Cancer, and we were just talking about a lot of things, but feelings, of course. And we were just talking about like how, damn, I completely forgot exactly what I was saying. I'm not even gonna hold you, but and I also just missed, there was a comment on the screen. Kenny, do you mind bringing that back up? I told you I'm just gonna be honest with you. Oh, thank you so much, love. I appreciate it. Yeah, I definitely forgot what I was saying before, but if it's meant to be, it'll come back. But I'm gonna take a sip of tea about it. That's mad hot. I'm not even gonna pretend like I didn't just burn my whole mouth. So moving on. I also want to shout out Ayana from Unfuckwittable Rugs for this amazing Dualitea coaster. Like, can we get into that for a second? It is so cute. And it's such like good quality. It's literally a little mini rug for my cup. Like, love that. Thank you so much. And yeah, 100th episode, man. I was like really stressing out about what I wanted to do with it. And like I was talking to Kenny, and I be asking Kenny like a lot of questions, and he's another one that not only tolerates me but loves me, and I really do appreciate and love him too. Like, shout out to you on the other side of the wall, But I just want to say, like, I be asking Kenny like very intentionally, like ask him certain questions, because I know that he just hits these like one-liners. It'll be like 4 words, and it'll just be like, poof. I'm like, boom, like, yeah, I was like, oh, I'm thinking about doing this and that for the 100th episode, but I don't know. And he's like, well, I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to call it, and this and third. And he's like, well, because I kept on talking about doing the clips. And he's like, well, maybe instead of like looking back into the past, like you can like look into the future, or like, look at what's happening next, instead of reflecting. And I'm like, that you know what? Yeah, you're spitting, because like, let's tap into some sun energy, because it be real. My moon energy at like that's like my natural state, like, and I really would like to step into that sun energy. For those that don't understand what I'm saying, essentially moon is reflection and sun is action. Moon is feminine, masculine is the sun, so sometimes I feel like I have to translate myself, because if those aren't privy to certain astrological factors or scientific factors, I just want to make it accessible for everybody who's listening, right? So with that being said, like, yeah, I'm looking forward to episode 101. I'm looking forward to episode 102. Like, I'm looking forward to these different things that are going to be coming from this podcast. It's 100 and it don't stop here. It just keeps going. In fact, this 100th one, I'm happy I'm here, because this 100th one, it's a blessing, but it's also been like a pain in my ass, low key, because like I haven't been able to do much without doing this one. And Kenny would check in with me because it's been 2 months, like over 2 months since I did my last pod. And Kenny check in with me like, oh, what's going on? And like, are you trying not to what would you say, Kenny? He was like, I'm just making sure that you're not fearing success, something along the lines of that. And like I said, like, Kenny's really like my wise uncle in a big way. And it's just like, I'm just so grateful to hear these things, because like, yo, I do need to be called out in these moments. And I do need to provoke my thought in a different way, because I'm always thinking and doing and putting energy towards something. But sometimes you just need to be around people who know you, who can understand you without you having to like explain so much and do so much. And with that being said, it's just honoring the people around you, and like, and how you do that is by honoring yourself, because as much as you're going to honor yourself, you're going to Like, that's what's going to be your standard for what you allow and what you don't allow. You know, like, what are you okay with in your life, and what are you not okay with, and what are you just not going to stand for? And, you know, like, 2023, because, like, this ain't just the 100th episode. Like, this is, like, 2023 wrap-up also. Like, there's a lot of different things. But, like, you know, I do want to keep that in the forefront. I don't want to tap too much into the past. But I will tap a little bit into the past, you know what I mean? In a healthy way, just to reflect on the year. Because as the future see, like, I feel very much so, like, in the present. And in the present, we're coming up to the end of this year, and like 2023, man, like some of the things that I prayed for years came to fruition, and a lot of that was freedom of things, people, places, traumas. You know, like, I think it's so important to not only pray for like what you want in regards to like something new, but like what you don't want. Like, you could still pray about what you don't want. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to keep perpetuating trauma that has been perpetuated to you. Like, you want to end cycles. You don't want to continue to make space for people who don't make space for you. You know, for people that, you know, might not have the capacity to have your needs met or meet their needs, or whatever the case is, and just whether that's platonically, whether that's romantically, whether that's business-wise. You know, I learned so much by just not faltering. I feel like 2023 was like, how do people show up when I don't falter? Like, or don't show up? Like, how do people respond to when I show up for myself in full rather than appeasing the masses? You know, and like, because I feel like every year I've gotten better and better with being a recovering people pleaser, and I've definitely made it strides. And like this year, I feel like I've done so like unapologetically, maybe still apologetically. I do tend to still apologize for things I don't need to, but you know, I'm human. I'm like super empathetic and compassionate, and sometimes over empathetic, you know, but you learn. And I got burnt out enough times this year to be like, you know what? You know who's not, you know, who doesn't care? Like, pretty much everybody else when you're just doing things for them. You know, like, people want to, you know, they want to care. But like, when people are activated or being in their own survival mode, and you're benefiting, and they're benefiting from you burning yourself out, like, it's not a personal thing. It doesn't mean people bad. It's just like they don't have the capacity to care because they're trying to survive. So it's like, who is going to take care of you? Like, no one's going to take care of you the way you're going to take care of you. Like, no one's going to take care of you the way you're going to take care of you. You need to show up for yourself. Like, no one else is going to do it for you. And that is just something that got like pounded into my skull this year. Like, so could you run that comment? Because I didn't get to see it. I missed it. What's up, Lori? All right, word, thank you. And yeah, so I'm trying to engage more, you know what I mean, with the comments, because I'll be really spaced out into what I'm saying, and I'll be like really just and then I miss everybody's comments, you know, especially the ones on Facebook and YouTube. So I do tend to go onto my Instagram and read them after, you know, but then they go away when I post the live, which I don't like. I don't appreciate that. So I'm going to need people from IG to head over to YouTube and Facebook to interact, you know, so we can chat. Like, that's something that I do want to call into 2024. Like, I want to interact with y'all. I want to challenge myself to have the capacity to do that, you know. Maybe that's going to involve having another screen. Like, maybe I could have a tablet up and you know, get all techie on y'all. You know, we'll just have to see. We'll just have to see what we're going to do with it. But I definitely want to engage because I want to hear from you. Like, if it's one thing that I was reflecting on while I was doing my final report for my grant from this year was like, why do I do it? Like, I don't have to question it. Like, I know exactly why I do what I do, especially for this podcast. That's what I was talking about last night. That's what I forgot before. Here we go. So this podcast is essentially like an extension of what the moon meets are. And it's like a literal safe space. You know, so there's a safe space that we come to and we cultivate, which is now not only a in-person thing. We did integrate a big TV in the room and a Zoom. So, you know, y'all that aren't local to Staten Island, New York, like, can join that if that's something that you feel good about. You know, feel free to just DM me and directly, and I could send you the link when those events happen so that you can take part in it. And then, like, that's like a little like container, like a little, I want to say portal in a way, but like I want to be mindful of my words. And then so are these pockets. Like, these are just like recorded and time capsuled, as opposed to that's just like in the actual moment, time and space, like live at that time. So it's really cool because I was reflecting on that in my final report when I was writing. Like, you know, there's different questions like, how did this impact yourself? How did this impact your community? You know, how did this promote like Staten Island, you know, and like all these different ways. And I'm like, yo, like, I really just strive to give people a voice. You know, the people in the background, the people who are shy, the people who are nervous, the people who are, you know, wouldn't traditionally be on a podcast, because I wouldn't traditionally be on a podcast. Yet here I am, episode 100. Like, you know, like, life is interesting. And I like to provide spaces for people who don't normally like to take up space, because it's needed and it's beautiful, and it could really turn to be like such a cool accomplishment, I feel, for yourself when you do that. Because I know me, like, just even my own growth in having this podcast, like, I make more eye contact with people. Like, I feel more confident about things. Like, I like my voice now, you know, like, I can appreciate myself more for like doing certain things and just being consistent. But like, I was super shy, like, you know, and I did not imagine my world like this. Like, I did not imagine stepping into like the realm of media and like being a podcast host, and, you know, being a host of a local TV show as well, and like, you know, Raw Urban Sessions, and like just doing these different things, having a, you know, a radio show over at Makerspace, like my Maker Park Radio. And, you know, it's just like, what, you know, like, it was like pulling teeth to even get me to go on anything. I was on like Jen's like Make Her Space pod over at Makerspace Radio and Maker Park Radio. I'm sorry, I get tongue twisted with that. I'm not even gonna lie. There's just a lot of M and P's, and, you know, anyway. But please forgive me, and shout out to y'all. But that was one of the first things that I ever did. Like, you know, being interviewed, speaking. And that was already like pulling teeth, because I was nervous to do that. I was always nervous to do and step in these spaces. And that's the thing that I feel like people could speak more about is, you know, there's these icons and people that go into places and they like turn heads in the room and they command all the attention in a way that's like, wow, like, how can somebody go into a room and do that? Like, be so confident to do that. And you realize like they're like, that story is like left out, and or they're like super extroverted, which like the introverted people can't relate to. So like, I always been curious. So like the introverted people, like what is the process? And I really haven't heard much of it. So I can only do my part by sharing my piece. And that is, I do things scared. I do all the time, but I pray about it and I make sure that I ground myself before I do it. And I feel like that's something that's misconstrued. Like, you don't just become confident. You're not just confident. Like, you know, at least not for me. Like, I have to work for it, you know, like, you have to put in work to become confident. You have to sit with your fear to then build your confidence, like, because that's courageous, right? Like, to be vulnerable, to present your fear, like, yeah, like, you know, I'm a little anxious, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Like, especially like even today, like, when I step out and I don't do a pod for like a few months or weeks or whatever, really it's months. When I don't do it for a few months and I come back, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so nervous. Like, I was so nervous before I even started it. And, you know, you just keep doing it. You just do it anyway because you know your why. And I know it's bigger than me, but it also is a part of me, you know, and it has been something that's reciprocal, because I'm just sick and tired of being that person that has always given everything out, you know, like it's like, where is the reciprocity? And like in platforms like this, I actually have reciprocity. Like I achieve things for myself. I get to put people on and amplify people's voices, and you know, they get to have that exchange for themselves. Like, we get to have that exchange together. Like, this is community building. This is what being there for one another is like providing a safe space for somebody to be them. Like, you don't need an about me to come on to this show. Like, you just need to be you. Like, and if you don't feel comfortable being you, like, you know, we could talk about it and work it out and like help build you there. Like, because I think a lot of times too, people want to do things for views and like controversy. It's like, oh, let me invite somebody on some with the opposing view. Like, if I ever invite anybody with an opposing view, like, that means that we had a consensual conversation prior to the podcast, because my intention is never to embarrass anybody. My intention is never to put somebody in an uncomfortable situation that they wouldn't want to be in. If we have opposing views, that's fine. That's welcome. You know, but we're going to discuss like what you're open to speaking on the pod and whatnot. Because although it is an organic podcast and it is live and we don't really do much prepare besides picking the topic, like when it comes to sensitive things, like that's super important. I try to do that on all spectrums, you know, and that's like, that goes with everything, man. That goes with everything. And it's just like, I do want to take a moment to acknowledge like everything that's going on in the world, and to just say, like, putting that prayer out there that people can, you know, feel like they can go to sleep. Like, there's so many things to even talk about. We have genocides in a bunch of different places going on. Like, we have people that have been harmed. Like, there's so many things that are going on in the world. And, you know, it's 2023. You would think that, you know, people would have more access to information and understanding and compassion, because it's like, we got all this information, but it's skewed, and like it's put out there to put us against one another on purpose. Like, that shit is not a mistake. But you can't look at something that's happening for like extended amount of times or in drastic measures and like and just and because you stand in a certain other way, like put a blind eye. Like, that's a shame on humanity. So like, with that being said, is like, I just pray for us to do better moving forward in 2024, and for like, as people, as like general people, like, wise up. Like, these people that are out here running these major things for us to be reading, viewing, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a motive. Like, what are they getting out of it? You know, something, I had a conversation with a chemist, and I was talking to him because I was like, yo, I'm like, you know, there's soy in this product. Like, you know, like, everybody was, at the time I was a vegan, and I was like, I was trying to stay away from soy, from the different things that I heard about it and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, he had said to me, he's like, you look at the articles of the people who are writing about soy, and it'll tell you a lot. And, you know, it's true. Like, when you boil things down, like, the people who tend to write these articles are benefiting from the opposition, right? A lot of people that write bad things about soy are pro dairy and meat industry, and soy is their competition. Meanwhile, but I know that like in Asian countries, like, all they are out there eating is mad soy, mad tofu, you know, and they're living the longest than any other country or civilization. So you know what, like, what am I going to actually believe? Like, it's so important to, and this is why it's both jarring and fucked up and crazy that like we have eyes and on things that are happening in other countries, footage from people who are experiencing it, and there's like traumatically, emotionally, like, there's a lot of cons to that, but like morally, it's like it's almost good in a way that like we don't have the opportunity to be gaslit by these bigger these you know, the big op, like the 1%, you know, that wants us to like not see people as people. And it's like, even if you're on opposing ends, like when you just watch people going through certain things, like you can't deny it from being a thing. There is no staging what is happening. Like somebody going live and talking about what's happening while bombs are going off and things are happening. Like there is no staging that. So it's like, I say all that to say because I think it's important. Once again, this is Duality Podcast. If you're not here for the real, if you're not here for the 100%, like this might not be the podcast for you, because I'm going to talk about the things that are uncomfortable. I'm also going to make space for the things that are like, there's a place to be neutral and there's a place to not be neutral. And I always do my best to find common grounds for people, because like I understand that trauma is a very real thing and people can be activated and act irrationally. But once again, I also know that when somebody's in an irrational state, if you try to yell at them to tell them that they're wrong, like that's not going to help them. That is not going to provoke their thought to change their mind. That is not going to help anyone. It's just going to cause more radicalism, within them, because now they're coming from a defense space as well as a passionate space. So I rather, at this point of my life, because I've taken that route plenty of times, at this point in my life, I strive to provide neutral information, or even just information that's said in a way that can provoke thought without reaction, more so response, so that people can it could actually make a difference and lead people to feel safe to think differently. Because if you're trying to force someone to think differently, like they are not going to act like kindly to that. Like think about it. Like really think about it. Like if you just separate from all of the like intensely fucked up things that I was just talking about in that depth, like, and you start talking more so on just like as simple as you say that purple is the best color, and like somebody who really, really, really loves green is like, nah, like I actually think green is. And you're like, no, I think purple's the best color, and here is why. Like, and you're forcing that. Like this is they've been feeling connected and attached to the fact that green is their color. Like just because purple might have more science and things behind it, and maybe it is. Maybe it's the most healing color that exists, and maybe it's you can be absolutely right. But that person won't even get the opportunity to consider it if you try to force it down their throat. You just present them with the information and leave it there. Let them go approach it if they want to. Because you just try to like peel people's eyes open and do that. Like it's not doing anything. And also, like, you know what? To be honest, I do want to talk about something else. Like I also think that it's really important in multiple ways. Like when things go on in life, people are so quick to repost things without actually taking information down, like without really doing research. Like fucked up things happen every day in all different places in all different ways. And like, what do you discern you're going to put your energy into, and what determines what you are going to actually promote or put behind? Like, how much research do you actually do? Or did you see that somebody that you fuck with post something and then you're just reposting it? And just because they posted it. And it's like, you don't even know what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? Like, because people are really being hurt in real time. People are really being affected in real time. Like, you're posting things and people are getting triggered. Apparently, when you're not posting things, people are getting triggered too. So, there's a lot of different things that happen in this time where things are like chaotic, where I think that it's really important to also remember, like, we all got to do the best that we can. And we all got to surround ourselves with people that, know that they're doing the best that they can with what they are. And if you feel like someone could do a little better in being more aware of things, I think it's important to talk about that with people. We have been programmed to avoid conversations about politics, about religion, and about like whatever else. I forgot what else the other brackets were, but I'm sure there's plenty more. And that's exactly what the fuck we should be talking about. Like, why are we not talking about that? Like, there's some people that can have a conversation like that, and then there's some people that can't. There's some people that have open mind, that have a space that they could be open-minded, and then some people can't. And then you got to meet people where they're at. But that doesn't mean that you don't have these conversations at all. You got to find the right people to have these conversations with. And also,
Like, I know for myself, I'm very passionate. So, like, when I talk, obviously, y'all can see right now, right? When I talk, sometimes I get a little overwhelmed and I get a little carried away. So I have to remind myself, like, when I am talking about things like religion, politics, and things like that, like, I need to also humble myself, calm myself down, and put myself in a neutral space if I'm ready to have that conversation. Because if I can't speak about it in a neutral space, then I don't have business to speak about it. And then, yeah, in that case, it's right. But I think that it's so important, because if we want to grow, we have to have these uncomfortable conversations, whether it's talking about global things, whether it's talking about personal things, whether it's talking about boundaries. Like, this shit is not comfortable. Does not mean you should not say them. You should not speak them. It is so important to make space for them. It's so important to make space for them. But, you know, like what I was saying before, I just think it's really important that, too, like, if you're going to take a stand on something, be thoroughly versed in both sides of things, all sides of things. You know, just, there is no justification for what is happening, you know, at this point. Like, I mean, not at any point, really. But, like, what about all of the other stories? It's just, I think the thing that gets me concerned is that when people lose their morality, standing up for a stance that they don't even know enough about, you know, to be rational, and then that makes people just perpetuate more trauma. Like, how can you want peace and still choose to destroy, like, biasedly, you know? Like, this is all by design. Like, we need to wake the fuck up and realize, like, the problem is not what it seems it is, and it's the people that are pulling the strings that are benefiting. Who is benefiting from what? Like, when we use our like, critical think and actually think about things, like, who is benefiting from what? You know, like, really thinking about that. Like, and that goes with everything. That goes with absolutely everything. So when you have the space, if you, before you want to, like, put a stance on something or say something that is, like, you know, I believe in speaking up on things, absolutely. But when we are condoning, like, just irrational behavior when you're not directly affected, like, people who are directly affected, yo, I'm not going to sit here and tell you how to be. You are literally living a life in fucking hell. You're going to react whatever way you're going to react, and I think that there is space for that. But I'm talking about the people that don't know what the fuck they're talking about and are, like, foaming at the mouth, bugging out. Like, we all go through grief and have experiences in different ways. I really, really, really feel like when we go off the handle with things, like, it's triggering something else for us, and then that's getting projected onto something. And I think it's really important to take a step back and really find where we can, because behaving that way doesn't even get you to your goal the way that you want to. Like, there are other ways to get you to that goal, and that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm not saying don't speak on that. I'm saying just finding grounded ways to get ourselves to the goal. Like, if you do feel, people take the strongest emotions they got and they take to social media with them. And it's like, listen, I've been guilty of it too, but I do my due diligence to hold myself accountable. And I also, like, do my best to take deep breaths before I'm going to speak on something, even if it's controversial or not, because I don't speak on things that are controversial for the sake of making controversy. I speak on it to find solutions, because, like, what the fuck are we actually doing? Like, we are one people. We are the human race, right? Like, if something else were to come up onto this space, they would be the other. Now, we don't treat each other like that, though. And especially when it comes to, like, different things, when it comes as far as, like, skin color and different regions and, like, what that looks like and how that affects different people. And I encourage people who are not educated on what it is to have certain experiences to educate themselves. And that goes with everything. And y'all know I'm talking about current events, But I'm also talking about every event that's ever happened and every event that will happen, because it is just the same cycle of things happening over and over and over again. People going like this to distract you, to take from over here. They say it's about this, but really it's about resources. Who's pulling oil? Who's doing that? Who is that? All these different things that are happening, or things with health. Like, why are we the only country that doesn't detox parasites? Like, why is that not a regular thing in this world? You know what I mean? Like, I really, I didn't know I was going to talk about all of this on this episode, but I'm not even mad, because this is what the fuck we need to be talking about. And I haven't talked on here for 2 months. So, y'all are going to get this, because this is what is needed. This is what's served, this is, you had your appetizer, this is the main course. And, I stand on what I say. I stand on what I say. We need to find ways to be well all around. Find something to believe in. If you believe in something different than me, as long as it's not harming other people, I respect it. I'm okay with that. We don't have to believe in the same thing, but believe in something. Believe in something, because you got, when all else fails, you're going to step back onto your faith, right? And then finding ourselves to be well in the mind, in the spirit, in the body, in the heart. These things can take form. It's scientifically proven. There's a space to talk about new age things and this, that, and the third. And then there's a space to really just talk about what the fuck is going on. Scientifically, vibrations, my vocal cords, speaking words are giving an effect, right? It has an energy behind it. And that is emanating through this microphone, coming through your speakers. And it is either resonating or not resonating with you. That happens with everything around us. Everything is emanating a vibration that either resonates or does not resonate. Not on some woo-woo shit, on some actual factual, this is what is going on around us, right? And what are you actively choosing? The thing about energy too is you can't destroy it, right? So you could just change it. You just boom, you could change it, boom, you could change it. But we're not getting taught these things, but you also have to seek it out. Because rightfully so, it is something that you need to earn, to learn in a way, some things. But it's also a birthright. So it's not it's gate kept. If you look for it, you'll find it. But you also need to want to look for it, because if it's just in front of you, you might overlook it. There gotta be some kind of alluringness to it, or else it could just be collecting dust. So yeah, that was a lot, but I definitely want to take a sip of tea. Hopefully it don't burn my mouth today. And thank y'all for coming with me on that emotional journey, because like I said, my special guest is the remnants last fully moon from 2023, which was in Cancerian, which is guaranteed to give you passion, is guaranteed to give you care, is guaranteed to feel like mama bear and protector, because I speak on these things not because I feel like I know it all, because I feel like I don't know shit, really. I know what I know, and I don't know what I don't know, and what I don't know is more than what I know. And, I feel like it's important to speak on things that can be eye-opening to people, to bring contrast in the world that is meant for harmony, not for dissonance. Or if dissonance is created, the intention is to bring back into harmony, because there is so much dissonance created for dissonance. We are so much more powerful when we are in harmony with one another. But who's ready to actually do the commitment to uphold a certain vibration to do that? So, yeah, it's just important. It's just important for us to figure out what our little puzzle pieces in it all, because we all affect one another. And, you know, sometimes it feels fucking helpless when things are going on in the world. And that's why people have these strong reactions. And it makes you feel like how you feel helpless in your own life. And then the existential of it, of like, what is going on in the world, and like, how are we alive at this time? But you know what? Like, I'm going to say this to myself, and I'm going to say this to everybody listening. Like, if you're alive right now, there's a reason. There's an absolute reason why you're alive. Whether we chose to be alive at this time or we were put here to be alive at this time, there's a reason. So make it your business to figure out what that reason is, and not your reason for like life in general. Like, you're alive to be alive. You're alive to be alive. Simultaneously, don't hesitate to explore what gifts have been granted to you. Don't hesitate to explore what things you can open up and unpack and share with the world. Like, you don't gotta be stingy on your medicine. Like, it's ever flowing, it's ever abundant. Like, you will never, it's not on you, it's within you. Like, you will never lose that from sharing that with people. In fact, you will lose yourself from not sharing it. So that's some food for thought, y'all, you know? And I don't really know if I got much else to say besides that. I feel grateful. I feel grateful for the people that stepped out of my life. I feel grateful for the people that stepped into my life. I feel grateful for the people who have the capacity to, you know, not make people have to feel smaller to make sense in the world. Like, if you ever feel like you're around people, places, or things that make you have to minimize yourself or feel smaller in any caliber, like, that is not optimal. You know, that is not optimal. I truly believe that there is spaces, places, and people that are for you and that allow you to have the space to be big. Be big. You know, like, you being big is not a detriment or a, you know, hindrance to anybody else who allows themselves to be big when they want to be big. Like, you are greatness. Like, you are like divinity wrapped in, packaged as a human being, and whatever you look like, that's fucking dope. Be that. Like, why do you have to minimize yourself to appease people that aren't even really for you in that way? You don't have to question people that are for you. People that are for you make you question yourself in a good way, not in a gaslighting way. But listen, I'm living proof of that because I've been through the ringer with a lot of different things. And I'm just really, really grateful for the people that are still standing, because it's like, sometimes I need a lot of space to be held. Sometimes I need a lot of space to be given. And, you know, whether you're a person that's listening on this pod or people that are close to me in my life, like, I just really, really appreciate the platform. I really appreciate what this has done for, you know, myself and other people, like, to give that genuine space for you to just show up as yourself. Like, I actually don't want you to show up as anybody else. If you show up as anybody else, you're getting off this podcast. Like, I don't even care. Like, you got to show up as you, or else I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want you. I don't want to hear, you know, and, yeah, just like, shout out to being true to ourselves and things of that sort. So I think I'm done talking, but I am going to pull some cards for the end of this year. And before I do that, I'm going to play the Crown Chakra Bowl, because I feel like it's really important to step into anything with a clear mind and a good heart. So this bowl that I'm about to play is a quartz bowl. It's a singing bowl that the Tibetan people had started making out of brass and different metals to create certain resonance. Just like anything else, it is an instrument. This one in particular is just made with quartz. Quartz, not, once again, I like to explain things on certain dimensions, right? If you have an aversion to crystals, I want you to remember that, like, if you take something like, ooh, I didn't even talk about zeolite, and I've been really on my zeolite. If you have something like zeolite, right? This is a stone. It's a mineral, right? But when you ingest it, it's similar to like a volcanic ash type thing, right? And that it will detox heavy metals from you, right? Super important to do that, because heavy metals, parasites, these different things, like,
are really what is making us sick as people, you know, because once again, I touched on it before, but we are one of the only countries that don't do these kinds of cleanses. Like every other country did. Like my mom living in Colombia, coming out here, like she did it. Like everybody I've talked to that's like first generation or like, you know, fresh off the boat, wherever, like people are doing things to deworm themselves. Like we are deworming our cats and our dogs. Like why wouldn't we be deworming ourselves? But like I digress. That's a whole other podcast, a whole other time, because that needs a lot more space to like extrapolate like the contents of which and what I'm saying. But to demystify quartz for a second, if you have like certain watches that don't have batteries in it, you know, are made with quartz, and quartz has a pulse, right? Almost every single one of our phones has quartz in it, if not every single one of our phones. It's a programmable material, right? If you get laser hair removal or laser tattoo removal, there's crystals inside of that to reflect light, to break down your ink into smaller molecules so that your body can flush them out, and or harm your hair follicles so that it will stop growing. There is a new age culture with certain things when it comes to, you know, even a lot of the symbolism that you might see here, like yin yang or crystal bowls, that like yin yang, yes, the origins come from China, it comes from Asia. Simultaneously, they were depicting a specific vibration that we just became privy to like last year, which is like something that is super healing, that can remove any toxins and or carcinogen, allegedly to move any cancer or anything out of our body, you know, if hit with these two frequencies at the same time. So it's more that meets the eye in a lot of things, you know, and that's up to your discernment. But I just like to explain a little bit of why I choose to work with these things. I'm choosing to work with this bowl not because it looks cute and is pretty, although she's gorgeous. It's because what the intention and how this can be utilized as a vehicle for healing and clarity. Whether, like, I don't know if y'all are going to fully hear the vibration, because when it goes into these different places, like via microphone, sometimes it goes out. But whether or not you hear it, the thing is, if you're listening right now into this, what I'm in this case putting into this bowl is what is going to be emanated. You know, the same way somebody can look at you and think something, that thought can hit you, right? This is buying that. So I do want to remind anybody who is in this world of like stepping into different healing circles and stuff like that, you want to be mindful with who's hitting the instrument. You want to be mindful even if you're not in the healing. And you want to be mindful if you're going to listen to a band, because whatever that person is thinking, emanating, and being as a being, when they play whatever that is, that instrument, that vibration is now amplified through an amp and blasted directly at you. And this is shit that be making you want to stay home. But that's okay, because we can have a balance, right? Sometimes you can healthily step away from the knowledge to just have a day. Because this shit is happening all the time. And it's very overwhelming to digest all of this information at all times. This is shit that makes you lose your fucking mind. Because this isn't a path for the lighthearted. Like, it's not. It's you need to take in truths at the rate that you can consume them and digest them, because if you take any more or any less, you are not going to feel good. And I can't tell you what that looks like. You have to figure that out for yourself. So, without further ado, I'm going to play this bowl with the intention of just clearing our minds of anything that is causing any confusion, and clearing our minds to what makes the most sense for us in our being, in our heart, in our... I can move. It's all right. I can move. I'll bring it back over here. Let me reset what I was saying. here and now, I'm going to play this bowl with the intention of clearing our minds to walk into this new year looking forward and being attracted to the things that are healthy and good for us, and stepping away from whatever hinders us from being ourselves in the best way. And for anything else that I may have not remembered at this moment in a good way like that, for, Creator to take care of that. Oh. Taking a deep breath in through our nose, out through our mouth. You are so needed. You are so needed being yourself, creating and destroying whatever you are meant to in this life. I encourage you to continue to be you, to discover, to make mistakes, to have successes, to have failures, and to love yourself through each of those processes, because you deserve it. Your medicine is needed. So thank you for being you. Stay here as long as you need. If you closed your eyes, then just move your fingers around and just get yourself more acquainted into your body. And if you need to, stay in your name to get yourself present. And bear with me as I get some cards out, because I'm going to pull some cards for the wrap up. If you're not into the cards, exit stage left. Thanks for coming. Appreciate y'all. If you're into it, hang tight. These blueberries are not good. I really just be eating with y'all. No shame. I wish I could share it with you. At some point, I will definitely make teas that y'all can sip the same tea as I or we, depending on the episode. So stay tuned for that. Interesting. So it's not going to even be a whole thing right now. I thought it was, but apparently it's not. So what are we leaving behind in 2023, and what are we stepping into in 2024? I pray in a good way, Creator, to be a conduit for the divine message that is needed for the people who are present here and now. Let time and space transcend when I say that, so it is beyond live for everybody who is listening to this when it's post it being recorded. May it greet each and every one of us in a good way with the concept and the idea of all being considered in the best way possible for the highest outcomes of the collective. I say thank you. Aho. So, what are we leaving in 2023? This is interesting. So it says, if y'all are familiar with the Janae Aiko song called "Born Tired," this one is from that. It says, "Baby, I was born tired. I was born tired." And then it says, "Tired, but I'm fired up," and it's a little bean in a sleeping bag while the world is on fire. Literally. That can mean a few different things. To me, my depiction of that is we're leaving behind in 2023, feeling like we can't, the helplessness. 2024 is looking a lot like we're leaving in 2023 what feels like and looks like not having the ability to do anything about what's happening on the outside. From what it feels like, it feels like 2024, we're going to understand more how we have an impact on the world around us, each and every one of us. And kind of love that for us. So, yeah. And what are we stepping into in 2024? Believing in ourselves. Love that. So believing in ourselves, right? That just makes sense right there, side by side. We're leaving out not believing that we can't do anything or that what we do makes a difference. And we are calling in and stepping in the fact that we know we make a difference and that we give ourselves the opportunity to feel supported in believing in what it is that we want to do, whether that is globally, societally, financially, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, business-wise. You will find what you need to motivate and be motivated. And I believe that that's not only by yourself, it's because you're choosing yourself to believe, because you're choosing you're going to continually attract what you are. You are going to find other people that believe in you innately because you believe in yourself. And it's about being. It's just about being. Yeah. Thank you. I'll close this reading in a good way. And for the finale of this podcast, I'm going to end off with the word of the day. Well, the quote of the day. Today is December 28th. Page 363. We do not love people because they are beautiful, but because they seem beautiful to us because we love them. Let me read that again. We do not love people because they are beautiful, but because they seem beautiful to us because we love them. Russian proverb. How would you write "I love you" to someone you love in 25 words or less? There is just one catch. You can't use the words "I love you." Love is not always an easy emotion to feel. It may feel easier to say those 3 words than to try to put into words why you feel them. Sometimes it can be difficult to look at the qualities, gifts, and uniqueness of someone you love. You may wind up making comparisons. He's more successful than I am, or she's much better. She's much better with kids, and then be confronted with your weakness. Question why someone would love you. You may be a negative thinker who has hard time focusing on the positive. Or you may be a rational person who has a tendency to think about emotions rather than feel them. But love doesn't necessarily have to be the thought about the expressed or expressed in grandiose ways. Love can simply be seeing and accepting someone for who he or she is. You may discover that you love someone simply because that person is beautiful to you. Affirmation. Today, I'll focus on all the good qualities of one person I love and think about how nice our love feels. This is very relevant, for me. So I would imagine if that is relevant for y'all. So thank you so much for the love, Thank you for the love. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing this journey and giving a hour or a few hours of time, listening or chatting with me, and you're appreciated. So I hope that y'all have a really good new year and or, few days if you're listening to this at any other point, right? And yeah, looking forward to the future and grateful for the present and doing my best to honor the past. So